Hello, friends. Don't you think it's a perfect day for tea? Because today the birds are chirping, the weather is so good, and you can see the clouds are clear. So it's a perfect day to meet and celebrate. So, how could we miss it? Are you willing to stay with me till the end? And I promise you, you will have a great time with me. Welcome to my tea party.
Hello friends. So today I have a special arrangement for you all. I have planned a tea party with you all. So what we are going to do is that you must have heard of the famous Alice tea party with Mad Hatter in the book Alice Adventures in Wonderland, right? So, if you haven't read about it, then just you can Google it right now, and like it is so nice. So, what we are going to do is we are going to read the famous episode of Alice Tea Party, and with that, we are going to have some real tea time. So, first of all, we'll prepare. And then we'll read the episode ahead. Then what we'll do is that we'll even prepare this. And the food is already made by my mom, so we'll have that. We'll move ahead. And so yeah, without much further ado, let's get into the video. But even before that, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I think you should do it right now. So yeah, let's move ahead. Chapter 7, A Mad Tea Party. There was a table set out under a tree in front of the house, and the March Hare and the Hatter were having tea at it. A dormouse was sitting between them, fast asleep, and the other two were using it as a cushion, resting their elbows on it and talking over its head. Very uncomfortable for the dormouse, thought Alice. Only as it's asleep, I suppose it doesn't mind. The table was a large one, not like this, it's a small one. But the three were all crowded together at one corner of it. No room, no room, they cried out when they saw Alice coming. There's plenty of room, said Alice indignantly, and she sat down in a large armchair at one of the end of the table.
Now I'm thinking of preparing the tea. Now I'll add the hot water. Now after adding the hot water, I'll just go down and ask my mom to put it upon the stove in the very low flame.
One of the end of the table. Have some wine, the March Hare said in an encouraging tone. Alice looked all around the table, but there was nothing on it but tea. I don't see any wine, she remarked. There isn't any, said the March Hare. Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it, said Alice angrily. It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited, said the March Hare. I didn't know it was your table, said Alice. It's laid for a great many more than three. Your hair wants cutting, said the Hatter.
So now I'm thinking of continuing making the tea from where we had stopped. But even before that, we are going to make a tea bag. It's time to put tea into the tea bag. This tea bag is made up of cloth and made by my mom by her own hand by sewing. So you can easily prepare any of the tea bag at your home by sewing, and all you have to do is to put the tea into it. I'm putting a little bit more tea, which later on I had realized. So, yeah, just be careful to put the right amount of tea. Later on, I had to mix some more water in it. So, now what we are going to do is we'll take a thread and a needle, and we are going to seal the tea bag by our own hand. So this is how you will this thing seal the tea bag, and if it is for your first time, then you would find some difficulty to seal it. I know it's an elaborate process to seal the tea by using the needle and thread, and to do this much hard work, but by doing these kind of small things, you will feel very good, really. And I just enjoyed a lot doing these kind of small things. So our tea bag is finally ready, and it has got sealed very beautiful and very well. So now we are into the main part of making the tea, that is putting the ingredients into the tea. So what I'll do is, with the help of the plucker, I will put all the necessary ingredients into the tea, as well as I have decided to put the uh, tulsi leaves also in that. So there you can see I put the tea bag, as well as now I'm putting the tulsi leaves, which really adds to the flavor of the tea. And now I'll move ahead and putting the lemons. I've decided to put both the type of lemons, like for the skin as well as the juice separately. You will feel very good, like doing these kind of small things, and that too very precisely. As you can see, I am doing everything very precisely, using the plucker to pick up the leaves and all. Now I'll put the honey as well. And I had decided to put the sugar later on, but it's your choice how beautiful this tea looks very closely if you can see. So as I had told, sugar you can add later on or before. So our tea is just left to put upon the stove, and then it would be ready to be drunk.
Looking at Ellis for some time with great curiosity, and this was his first speech. You should learn not to make personal remarks, said Ellis with some severity. It's very rude. The hater opened his eyes very wide on hearing this, but all he said was, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" "Come, we shall have some fun now," thought Alice. "I am glad they have begun asking riddles. I believe I can guess that," she added aloud. "Do you mean that you think you can find out the answer to it?" said the March Hare. "Exactly so," said Alice.
So our tea is totally ready to be drunk. We will pour it in the cup. We have got a rich color of the tea. And now I'm thinking of putting sugar in it, and I've got even some flowers from the garden which I will put, like some of the petals of the flower. I'm picking up rose. And I will even put some of the herbs. You can see it closely, the tea, the beautiful tea. After drinking the tea, we will again be back with our chapter reading.
Alice. "Then you should say what you mean," the March Hare went on. "I do," Alice hastily replied. At least, I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know." "Not the same thing a bit," said the Hatter. "You might just as well say that 'I see what I eat' is the same thing as I eat what I see." "You might just as well added the March Hare that 'I like what I get' is the same thing as I get what I like." It's very, very confusing. "You might just as well say," added the Dormouse, who seemed to be talking.
So now we have to prepare the soup. It's time to prepare the soup. So I am taking a bowl and I'm pouring the hot water in it. You must have got tired from hearing the story till now. So let's put hot water, little bit more. Now I will put some corn in it, the boiled corn. And lemon first. I'm putting more corn as I like more vegetables in the soup. You can put as much as you want. And now it's time to put the vegetables, chopped onions, chilies, and garlic. And now I will put the salt and masala. I have put the salt and my favorite masala in it, and the soup is ready. After boiling for some time, you can take a closer look at the soup.
What you mean, the marsh hare went on. I do, Alice hastily replied. At least, I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know? Not the same thing a bit, said the hatter. You might just as well say that. I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see. You might just as well added the marsh hare that I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like. It's very, very confusing. You might just as well say, added the dormouse, who seemed to be talking in his sleep. Okay. It is the same thing with you, said the hatter. And here, the conversation dropped and the party sat silent for a minute. While Alice thought overall she could remember about ravens and writing desks, which wasn't much. The hater was the first to break the silence. What day of the month is it? He said, turning to Alice. He had taken his watch out of his pocket and was looking at it uneasily, shaking it every now and then and holding it to his ear. Alice considered a little and then said, the fourth. 2 days wrong, sighed the hatter. I told you butter wouldn't suit the words, he added, looking angrily at the March hare. It was the best butter, the March hare meekly replied.
So I think we should have a pause and have a soup lest it would get cold. So here I am finishing up my soup and then I will continue reading the book again. I'm having so much great time.
Now we shall continue. So we were at, it was the best butter, the March hare meekly replied. Yes, but some crumbs must have gotten as well, the hater grumbled. You shouldn't have put it in with the bread knife. The March hare took the watch and watched at it gloomily. Then he dipped it into his cup of tea and looked at it again. Nothing better to say than his first remark. It was the best butter, you know. Alice had been looking over his shoulder with some curiosity. What a funny watch, she remarked. It tells the day of the month and doesn't tell what o'clock it is. Why should it? Muttered the hatter. Does your watch tell you what year it is? Of course not, Alice replied very readily. But that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together. I think we shall stop till here and now I will make you one very nice recipe which you can eat it as a snack uh, with the help of the biscuits. So what there would be is that the biscuits, the peanut butter and the banana, and it looks really delicious. So let's make it and eat it.
So now pausing the reading for some time, we are going to prepare my favorite snack of cookies, that is peanut butter cookies. I've got some cookies with me and I will pick up four different shaped cookies. So I've got these four different cookies, and I've even got some bananas. I have topped a little bit black pepper on it. So there we go. Now I've got some peanut butter with me, and I will put the peanut butter upon it, and I tell you the combination looks so tasty. I mean, not just looks but taste also so tasty. It's a little bit messy work, as you can see. And our recipe is done. You can take a closer look. Try this recipe out by yourself and let me know how you are finding it. I love this peanut butter very much. After quickly eating, let's continue back with our reading process.
Why should it? Mutters the hare. Does your watch tell you what year it is? Of course not, Alice replied, very readily. But that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together. Which is just the case with mine, said the hatter. Alice felt dreadfully puzzled. The hater's remark seemed to have no sort of meaning in it, and yet it was certainly English. I don't quite understand you, she said, as politely as she could. The dormouse is asleep again, said the hatter, and he poured a little hot tea upon its nose. The dormouse shook its head impatiently and said, without opening its eyes, of course, just what I was going to remark myself. Have you guessed the riddle yet? The hater said, turning to Alice again. No, I give No, I give it up. Alice replied. What's your answer? I haven't the slightest idea, said the hatter. Nor I, said the March hare. Alice sighed wearily. I think you might do something better with the time, she said, then waste it in asking riddles that have no answers. If you knew time as well as I do, said the hatter, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him. I don't know what you mean, said Alice. Of course you don't, the hater said, tossing his head contemptuously. I dare say you never even spoke to time. Perhaps not, Alice cautiously replied. But I know I have to beat time when I learn music. Ah, that accounts for it, said the hatter. He won't stand beating. Now, if you only keep on good terms with him, he would do almost anything you liked with the clock. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just time to begin lesson. You would only have to whisper a hint to time and round goes the clock in a twinkling. 1:30, time for dinner. I only wish it was, the March hare said to himself in a whisper. That would be grand, certainly, said Alice thoughtfully. But then I shouldn't be hungry for it, you know. Not at first, perhaps, said the hater, but you could keep it to 1:30 as long as you like. Is that the way you manage? Alice asked. The hater shook his head mournfully. Not I, he replied. We quarreled last March, just before he went mad, pointing his teaspoon at the March hare. It was the great concert given by the Queen of Hearts, and I had to sing. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you are at. You know the song, perhaps? I have heard something like it, said Alice. It goes on, the hater continued in this way. Up the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how wonder what you are at. Here the dormouse shook itself and began singing in its sleep, Twinkle, 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 and went on so long that they had to pinch it to make it stop. Well, I would hardly finish the first verse, said the hater, when the queen jumped and bawled out, "He's murdering the time with his head." How dreadfully savage, exclaimed the Alice. And ever since that, the hater went on in a mournful tone, "He won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now." A bright idea came into Alice's head. "Is that the same reason so many tea things are put out here?" she asked. "Yes, that's it," said the hater with a sigh. "It's always tea time and we have no time to wash the things between whiles." "Then you keep moving around, I suppose," said Alice. "Exactly so," said the hater, "as the things get used up." "But what happens when you come to the beginning again?" Alice ventured to ask. "Suppose we change the subject," the March hare interrupted, yawning. "I'm getting tired of this. I vote the young lady tells us a story." Then the dormouse shall, they both cried. "Wake up, dormouse," and they pinched it on both sides at once. The dormouse slowly opened his eyes. "I wasn't asleep," he said in a hoarse, feeble voice. "I heard every word you fellows were saying." "Tell us a story," said the March hare. "Yes, please do," pleaded Alice. "And be quick about it," added the hater, "or you'll be asleep again before it's done." Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters. The dormouse began in a great hurry. And their names were Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly, and they lived at the bottom of a well. "What did they live on?" said Alice, who always took a great interest in questions of eating and drinking, just like me. "They lived on treacle," said the dormouse too. "They couldn't have done that, Alice gently remarked. "They would have been ill." "So they were," said the dormouse, "very ill." Alice tried to fancy to herself what such an extraordinary ways of living would be like, but it puzzled her too much, so she went on. "But why did they live at the bottom of a well?" "Take some more tea," the March hare said to Alice very earnestly. "I have had nothing yet," Alice replied in an offended tone. "So I can't take more." "You mean you can't take less," said the hatter. "It's very easy to take more than nothing." "Nobody asked your opinion," said Alice. "Who's making personal remarks now?" the hatter asked triumphantly. Alice did not quite know what to say to this, so she helped herself to some tea and bread and butter and then turned to the dormouse and repeated her question. "Why did they live at the bottom of a well?" The dormouse again took a minute or two to think about it and then said it was a treacle well. So now there are just 2 pages left for our finish of this episode. So yeah.
All the dishes have gone empty. Everything has got eaten up by me. There's just one thing left and which will soon get finished. The last meal of our party. This was also very tasty. Now we'll move back into finishing the chapter.
There's no such thing, Alice was beginning very angrily. But the hater and the marsh hare went shh, shh, and the dormouse sulkily remarked, if you can't be civil, you would better finish the story for yourself. No, please go on, Alice said very humbly. I won't interrupt again. I dare say there may be one. One indeed, said the dormouse indignantly. However, he consented to go on. And so these three little sisters, they were learning to draw. What did they draw? Said Alice, quite forgetting her promise. Trackle, said the dormouse without considering at all this time. Trackle, said the dormouse, yeah, without considering at all this time. I want a clean cup, interrupted the hater. Let's all move one place on. He moved on as he spoke, and the dormouse followed him. The marsh hare moved into the dormouse's place, and Alice rather unwillingly took the place of the marsh hare. The hater was the only one who got any advantage from the change, and Alice was a good deal worse off than before, as the marsh hare had just upset the milk jug into his plate. Alice did not wish to offend the dormouse again, so she began very cautiously, but I don't understand. Where did they draw the treacle from? You can draw water out of a water well, said the hater. So I should think you could draw treacle out of a treacle well. Stupid. But they were in the well. Alice said to the dormouse, not choosing to notice this last remark. Of course they were, said the dormouse. Well in. This answer so confused poor Alice that she let the dormouse go on for some time without interrupting it. They were learning to draw. The dormouse went on, yawning and rubbing its eyes, for it was getting very sleepy, and they drew all manner of things, everything that begins with an M. Why with an M? Said Alice. Why not? Said the marsh hare. Alice was silent. The dormouse had closed its eyes by this time and was going off into a doze, but on being pinched by the hater, it woke up again with a little shriek and went on. That begins with an M, such as mouse traps and the moon and memory and muchness. You say things are much of a muchness. Did you ever see such a thing as a drawing of a muchness? Really, now you ask me, said Alice, pretty confused. I don't think. Then you shouldn't talk, said the hater. This piece of rudeness was more than Alice could bear. She got up in great disgust and walked off, and the dormouse fell asleep instantly, and neither of others took the least notice of her going, though she looked back once or twice, half hoping that they could call after her. The last time she saw them, they were trying to put the dormouse into the teapot. At any rate, I will never go there again, said Alice as she picked her way through the wood. It's the stupidest tea party I ever was at in all my life. Just as she said this, she noticed that one of the trees had a door leading right into it. That's very curious, she thought. But everything's curious today. I think I may as well go in at once, and in she went. Once more, she found herself in the long hall and close to the little glass table. Now I will manage better this time, she said to herself, and began by taking the little golden key and unlocking the door that led into the garden. Then she went to work nibbling at the mushroom. She had kept a piece of it in her pocket till she was about a foot high. Then she walked down the little passage, and then she found herself at last in the beautiful garden among the bright flower beds and the cool fountains. So it's done. Last part you wouldn't understand much, like taking out the piece of mushroom from the pocket and all, because you have to read the book continuously, then only you can understand. But it was so fun reading this chapter, my favorite chapter of tea party with you all, and having a real tea party. I ate a lot and didn't offer you a single thing, which is so rude and uncivil, like Mad Hatter. I know that. I apologize for it. And I ask you a farewell, and we will see